Well, this is difficult to talk about because this is escalation in the Middle East like we haven't seen before. For those of you who don't know, I don't know how you couldn't know. Uh, Essentially, Israel launched a massive airstrike just this weekend, and probably with the express target of taking out Hezbollah leadership. And to that, they have succeeded. They have taken out the leader of Hezbollah. That has now been pretty much confirmed. We know, obviously, Israel's come out and said that was one of their major war goals that they wanted to do during this. However, this is escalation like we've never seen before. And now, two big things are going to happen. First of all, we've got to watch what Iran is going to do, because Iran has been put in a position they have to make choices they do not want to make. And bear in mind, the choice that they are in is a decision that they put themselves in. They did not have to fund groups like Hezbollah, the Houthis. They did not have to do that. There were other routes they could have taken. However, it was choices by people in their government, the very right-wing alternatives who were very, very anti-Western, that have chosen to do that. And the only reason that those people got so much power to be able to do this was because of Donald Trump's decision to remove the Iran nuclear deal. So what happens next, no one knows. Like, no one knows. But unfortunately, it has put Iran in a decision it has never wanted to make. But either way it makes these choices, we don't know. But the other thing that is done, it has incredibly embarrassed the US. Like, diplomatically, Netanyahu has almost pantsed Joe Biden on the international stage at the UN practically. He might as well have. And bear in mind, when you do this type of thing, as we've seen in the past, there have been responses. Now, I said on the Good Morning Walk just this weekend as well, Biden's in a difficult position because you've got the US presidential elections going on. And normally during this time, that means that the current US president is pretty much a lame duck. He's not expected to really do anything because it might jeopardize, Harris. It might, they are expected to pretty much do nothing. But he is in a situation where he has to do something. And what the US might do, who knows? Who knows? But make no mistake, America has been embarrassed on a very, very big scale. So we're just going to go over this because I think it just goes to show you the difficult situation that Iran, bear in mind, put itself in. Because these are groups it has now funded. And potentially, depending how it responds, could now lose control with groups that have a lot more, well, advanced weapons than they really should have. So this, who knows what this could lead to? Who knows what this could lead to? This is truly uncharted territory that is being entered into. But before we do go into more of this, please do remember to click on the like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below, there are links to my Patreon page, the monetization link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can buy me coffee, the YouTube thank you button, and of course, down below, there is the Pony Club as well. Hit the like, hit the subscribe button as well if you are new. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment down below as well. So we're quickly going to go over to this piece. Again, I think this perfectly sums this up, what was going on. This is in The Guardian. So all eyes will now turn to response by Tehran. It faces a fateful choice it has always sought to avoid, and one its new reformist leadership in particular did not wish to make. And that is another key point. That bear in mind, there is a new president, a new, very much, we want to work with the West, we want to lift sanctions. And I have been over this on Geoscope on many a time. I've said this on here as well. Bringing Iran back into sort of the world stage would be hugely monumentally good for everyone involved, especially for peace in the Middle East, trying to sort of normalize relations with everyone else in the Middle East, trying to sort of calm down these tensions. But that's not the way, unfortunately, we've gone, as we'll also see in a moment too. So it continues. So if it just simply angrily condemns Israel for destruction of the centerpiece of the axis of resistance that is now laboriously now built up after so many years, or calls on others to take unspecified actions, Iran's credibility is in jeopardy. And that's what's worrying. That these other groups that have been funded, have all this stuff by Iran, it loses all its credibility. The control that it has, again, supposedly has over these groups, gone like that instantly. But pragmatism may lead Iran to advise Hezbollah to absorb these losses and accept a ceasefire that does not also bring about a ceasefire in Gaza, Hezbollah's stated objective. And there you see what I was talking about, the problem. If Iran says to Hezbollah, hey, absorb those losses, accept a ceasefire, when its stated goal is to get a ceasefire in Gaza, what then does Hezbollah then see Iran as? Does it then really listen to Iran in the future? Does it ignore Iran over that call for a ceasefire in Lebanon? This is it. This is really uncharted territory here. And then you've got the other choice it definitely does not want to make. So, on the other hand, Iran would then instead launch a direct military reprisal against Israel. It has to be meaningful, and it knows that it will not be going into battle against a military that has also just proved its deadly value of being vastly technologically superior and its intelligence capabilities. Israel's intelligence has clearly penetrated deep inside Hezbollah and may have done now the same in Tehran. So it does not want to go into a full scale war because if there is Iran's not going to invade Israel. There's a big country in between them. It is going to be very much a missile war, and as we saw with that pager attack, what if they've done the same to people in Tehran in their top intelligence um, circles or military or things like that? So Iran does not want to have to make that choice either, because if it does decide that it's going to have a military response, then it has to be very meaningful. But doing that would mean a reprisal that against a vastly technological superior military, and one, as we've just said here, that has definitely very, very good intelligence capabilities, who ultimately may even already know before those orders are even, sent, they already know that those are coming, and a pre-strike has already been on its way to counter that. That is a situation that Iran does not want to be in. And then we come to its new president, because he was elected. He was expressly elected. Better relations. Let's get rid of these sanctions. And this is something that is worth reminding people as well. So his foreign minister, Sadib Abbas al-Chuki, I think that's how you say it, has just spent now a past full week in New York, very much on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly, meeting European politicians such as the German Foreign Minister, Angela Babrock, and the British Foreign Secretary, David Lammy, in an attempt to try and persuade them to reopen talks to restore the nuclear deal that was sealed back in 2015 and Donald Trump tore up in 2018. So that is something I really do believe we need to relook at and reopen. So too does Iran. However, it cannot do that if it decides to launch, a direct military response. its leader, its new president, one has said, I want to lift economic sanctions. I want to build better relations with the West. It's potentially not going to do that. So Iran is right now in a very difficult position. It either A, has to respond very meaningfully in a military way, or it goes the other way and potentially loses a lot of credibility with like the groups of resistance that it had built up over these years. So Iran is in a very difficult situation. So you've got to watch what Iran does over the next couple of days and weeks on this. That is for sure. So this is the other one where we are. So where are we? So this is where we go to like what for Washington. So for Washington, this is a diplomatic humiliation. And it is a display now of its instability or even refusal now to control its troublesome ally. And that is true. I said it at the beginning. Honestly, this is like Netanyahu just pantsed Biden at the UN practically in saying this. And it even says this. Netanyahu hopes to now have played American diplomats for fools in New York. U.S. State Department insists that it had a very clear understanding on the basis of conversations with Robert Delsmer, Israel's strategic affairs minister, and Netanyahu that Israel would accept a 21-day ceasefire. And yet, as soon as the plan was announced, Netanyahu reneged on the deal. So that is incredibly embarrassing for America. And we'll have to see if Biden does anything about this. Will he actually do something? Will he do something? Because he can't sit there and just do nothing. Because otherwise, Netanyahu has just played you for fools. You've just shown that a US ally cannot be controlled and do these things and there be zero repercussions. So who knows, honestly, what happens in the next couple of days, because it is honestly completely uncharted territory. We do not know what's going to happen. We've no idea. We've no idea. We've got to watch what Iran does. We've got to see if America decides, it decides to, say, okay, you want to defend yourselves? Well, okay, we're pulling American support. We're pulling out, all that stuff. We're going to stop, weapon shipments. Now, that would send a very strong message. Will Biden do it? Don't know. We don't know. But bear in mind, over the next couple of days and weeks, those are the things you want to be watching. What Biden and sort of the American diplomats say about Israel. Will they make a decision? Will they decide to try and seriously actually rein Netanyahu in? Or the other thing you need to be watching, what's Iran's response going to be to this? So, as always, thank you very much for watching. And of course, we'll see you all next time.